Chris Anson.
Here.
Trace Connor. Tim Poplin. Eddie Foreman.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, and we have no appearances or petitions from the audience for the Seminole Airport Authority. No approvals and acceptances, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Okay, moving on. To the Seminole Gas Authority. Can we have a roll call, please?
Larry Church.
Here.
Tim Poplin. Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Trace Connor. John Kramer.
Here.
Chris Anson.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second, yeah.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and with no items removed from the consent agenda, and we have no appearances or petitions from the audience, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. All right, moving on. And this is gonna be quick.
Hope
To the
so.
Seminole Municipal Authority. So we have a roll call for this one, Jay.
Yes, sir. Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Tim Poplin. Dana Miller.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Chris Anson.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Trace Connor. Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, and we have no appearances from the audience or petitions, move on to current business. Item 1, consideration and possible action regarding deficient commercial sewer billing between June 2023 and August 2024.
Yes, sir. I have communicated individually with the city council members. You guys got an email from me regarding, I'm going to call it a software glitch, although glitches have bugs that can be fixed, and we're not entirely certain how this happened. It appears that it was manual manipulation, but there's no one that could have had access other than potentially our contractor Encode that handles our software program. So I can tell you that it has been fixed. All of the bills that have gone out are now accurate, and we intend to keep a really close eye on that to make sure that there's no more manual manipulation. So for tonight, it's just about transparency. We want everyone to know that this happened, and we make mistakes, but we have had it fixed. And the reason that I put it on there for action, our intention, this happens occasionally for residential customers. Flaws happen, and we make adjustments, and typically we, as a city, we will bear that burden. And our intention as a staff is to bear the burden of the error that was made. However, if the city council directs us to do differently, that's certainly the course that we will take. So I just wanted to, first of all, disclose the error that I emailed to you and let you know that these are only commercial accounts that were affected. There were 50, I believe, accounts out of, 337. And they were random as could be. There was no pattern. We could not figure out what was going on. So But we have been through it with a fine-tooth comb to find out all the errors, and they have been fixed. You have anything you want to add, Jay?
I think you covered it well.
Did we collect the deficient billing then?
No, that's the point that I put it on here for action. If you tell us to go back and do that, then we will do that. In the past, especially with regard to residential customers, we've just eaten that. We just bear the burden. It was our error, and we've not gone back and adjusted bills.
What was the largest one?
$1,000.
Over a period of,
That would,
2 months,
Year.
14 months.
14 months. Yeah, 23, 24.
Steve, did any of those commercial customers, did they reach out and say, we want it, we've noticed a problem, you're underbilling us, and then two, we want to pay the difference?
No,
Not one,
not one.
okay.
Not,
No, I'm not aware of any, no. It was discovered on our own by chance, really.
And then I guess my next question is, you said, it was maybe a software glitch. There's no like cybersecurity issues with this? We don't think like that's gonna happen again, or since we don't know exactly, right?
there's no indication that it was a cybersecurity issue. Yeah, we don't have any answers. I apologize, but we've been beating our head against the brick wall trying to figure out how could this happen. And there's just no real explanation that we've been able to come up with. I don't want to make accusations or even innuendo, but again, the only thing that makes any sense at all is that there was something that happened with our contractor, that Encode, that we use, and they're very well respected. The vast majority of Oklahoma uses Encode for these types of things. There were changeovers and a lot of staff changes at Encode, and so that's a possibility, but I definitely want to stop short of making an accusation.
Have we asked them if they would be willing to make up the difference? Is that part of the contract, that any deficiencies that may be on their part, that they make up the difference?
No.
Okay.
Because we're not able to say this was you and you did this. We just don't have that level of certainty. And I'm sure, given the fact that they've got a lot of other customers, I'm certain that they would defend that vigorously.
Correct.
it's hard when you don't own the software. You're using it. It's really hard to, who knows? They know a way to talk around their system to know whether it's them or not, probably get out of it. But then again, there's no one on our side that would write that code and make that. But who's to say someone did delete the line off that bill just because? That's the argument you're probably going to get into, unfortunately, but.
And that was the first place we looked, was internally. Was there a disgruntled employee that may have manually manipulated, but there just wasn't that level of expertise to be able to do that, first of all. And there was certainly no pattern as to, who they may have selected to hurt us the worst. None of that was present.
It was random.
It was completely wrong.
So what's the procedure going forward? Is someone looking at these bills to make sure there's sewer charges on all of them? Is that what we're doing individually?
Yeah. We'll
That's a
have-
lot of work, but probably a necessary evil, given the situation, so.
Yeah, I would recommend that you put in some safety rails for the next time, so this doesn't happen again, because even though it doesn't sound like a lot of money, I would happily take that and put some more playground equipment at Chase
Sure.
Park, or, do something with it. So I think any dollar amount is needs to be discussed, and thank you for bringing this to our attention and explaining it beforehand. I don't think it would hurt to just reach out to the contractor and just say, hey, we have this issue. Maybe they had it across the board and just forgot to tell us. I don't know, but I don't
Okay.
want to leave any stone left unturned. Is that what it is?
Okay.
When it comes to our, our tax dollars, that support our city. So, I would request that. I don't know if we need to go as far as asking the 50 businesses, but I would like them, and I believe you said this previously, those 50 businesses, I want them to be aware how much they're, not that they owe the city, but that
Yeah.
we underbilled them for, and if
Right.
they ever feel like they wanted to pay it back, they could, but
Yeah. I definitely intend to put them on notice,
Okay.
but I didn't want to do that until I had instruction from the city council on how I was
Sure.
going to address that situation.
So, but do you feel like this was something that was intentionally done somehow? Or do you think it could have been like part of it, maybe some update that got interrupted or messed up? Or, I mean, just something like,
That's
simple
my
as that?
theory, but it's only theory, Chris, is it was part of an update that either got stopped midstream or something happened such as that may have caused this glitch. The good news is, when we first discovered it, we were afraid that it was years, multiple, like 15 years. We thought, oh my gosh. So fortunately for us.
So
it
the
was
dollar
only-
amount is what? What was the total amount of unbilled?
I'd have to,
I think it was 87,000 comes to mind, total, over 14 months. It was on that email. I can, if you want it
Just
specific.
forewarn them, happens again, and we have a $46 million sewer plant we're paying for, we're gonna ask for our money.
Absolutely.
I'm just
Yeah.
being quite honest. I mean, it's a lot of money it's a payment, partial one, so. but- All right, any other questions?
See, so we don't, the city doesn't calculate that billing, right?
it's automatic. So what happened was, all the accounts are still in place and were. They were charged only the account charge, not for usage on
Gotcha.
sewer only, right?
Mhm.
And that was turned off somehow deep within the system in a set of maintenance tables, according to Encode.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, who's responsible for the system? Us, or is there some company we contract with?
Encode is the company that we contract with, right?
Are they bonded? I mean, I'm responsible for other people's money, and I have to be
I
bonded.
assume they are, but again, we have not accused
Person.
them that it was their fault, and they
Well-
have not said it is their fault, so.
Well, even if it's not my fault, if something happens to people's money that I'm responsible for, which I am responsible for, I mean, someone can steal it from, or.
Oh, yes, we're bonded. I'm sorry.
No,
I
are
didn't
they
understand.
bonded? Are they someone that we could go to, or is there a bonding company that we can go to for redress on it?
I don't know that, well, they would have to be bonded if they're missing software, but, again, it's gonna come down to how do you really figure that out? I think
Well,
that's what's-
do you know whether they're bonded or not?
I don't know. I'm sure
Okay.
they are.
Do you know?
I don't know specifically. We can ask, but I don't know. for
That'd be
sure.
worth pursuing. It's not like going to the businesses and asking them, but
Right.
there's someone
And do
that,
we
if
have
we're
any-
accountable for it, we're accountable for it.
Sure.
But if there is a bonding company that's accountable for it, they make enough money.
Right, correct.
Cover us.
Okay. Yeah, we
So
can
it's
ask.
worth asking.
Sure,
All that is,
absolutely.
They could say no,
Right.
but that's gonna be the answer if we don't ask.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
I was just gonna ask if we had any type of insurance for it, but I'm sure the insurance would say we could just bill it and would want us to recuperate it, so.
I mean, I don't know if there's some kind of deal you can work out over a long period of time, pay back $10 a month or something, that might be something we need to
Let me just say this, that causation on this is going to be big. Who's responsible, who did it? Was it on our end? Was it on their end? And with what it would require probably to ascertain that, you could probably end up spending $87,000 on an expert to even determine that. So just something to think about.
Sure.
Well, I mean, just to save a conversation, as long as I don't hear differently from any of my constituents, I guess I'm fine with just moving on.
Well, I am
Making sure
too.
it doesn't happen again.
I am too, but it wouldn't hurt to just call the company and ask them if they're bonded for such things.
I don't know, I'm conflicted because 87,000,
Well,
I want to give, I have a whole list of things I want to give 87,000 to. One is animal shelter, the parks.
yeah. Me too.
Is that our decision to just leave the money on the table when the citizens rely on that billing to support their city? I'm not sure.
Well, I guess it would also depend, are any of the businesses, more of a marginal basis? Can the businesses who are affected afford to pay it back? Or would it put any of them in a bind? I mean, of course, even if you build it all at once, we could expect them to pay it all at once. We would have to offer some type of pay plans in my assistance.
I
or
would
my-
be more comfortable with that rather than losing $87,000. Maybe come up with a plan, hey, we're gonna offer this, you can pay about $20 a month, you can pay your full balance that was owed in full, one or the other. I know that's sad, but if I was a business, I'd probably be not happy about it.
Well,
but-
they used the services though.
Yeah.
They should know that they have to pay somebody for it. So,
Well, yeah, I think I'd probably call in to say, hey,
I don't think.
you
that-
mean to charge me $20 this month?
I don't think that $10 or $20 is gonna break any business, to be honest. We can come up with some kind of payback plan. I mean, it might take you 2 or 3 years to recoup that money, but at least we recouped it instead of lost
No, and
87,000.
by the same token, there's some of those businesses may not have even noticed it. that it
Yeah,
was-
that's
that it
probably
happened.
true.
I mean, unless they scrutinize their bill every month and compared month to month and then
And
noticed
some
when
may,
it stopped.
I mean, I'm gonna be, once I craft a letter, I think there'll be some that come back and wanna make us whole anyway. I'm not gonna, it'll be at least, at a minimum, it will be open-ended for them to do that. But if you wanna
Mhm.
put up a payment plan as an option, I think that's also fair.
And then new businesses started after June of '23 probably wouldn't have noticed it on their bill.
Yep. So I think that would be the direction that I would want you to go. Just draft a letter, here's what happened. You can have the opportunity to pay this in full. If not, we'll be adding so much to your bill until this balance is paid in full. I think it's what I would rather do. I don't want to eat.
same. I
not-
don't either.
$90,000.
Not 87,000. That's a lot of money. Especially when we're talking about, that when we go through that budget, it's always really, 87,000 can make or break a smaller project. So I don't want to leave it on the table either. and
Well, I
walk
think
away
of
from
someone
it.
like a larger utility, if they forgot to bill you, I don't know that they're just gonna be like, hey, yeah, you spent $500 on electric, I'm just gonna say, psh.
Well,
You're not gonna pay it back. I don't think they would do that.
Of course, they wouldn't do it. I was overpaid one time and my employer, for about a year, and my employer said, hey, we're gonna hold $20 a pay period out of your pay, or 10, I forget what it was, but it took about a year to get it, for them to get it back, but they were good about it.
I think that's a fair way of working with people. I mean, we could be one of the cities, just say, hey, you owe $10,000, you need to pay your $10,000 or we're shutting your water off. I mean, you don't wanna do that either, but just to be nice about it. I mean, it was our fault too. We're gonna go without $87,000 for 2 or 3 years for as long as it takes us to pay it back,
Push comes to shove, it and always discounted a little. String it out over a long period of time.
If it were something smaller, not a big deal. Given the situation we're in with the sewer plant and paying this much money back and having to put that much out, it's a bigger deal now than what it should have been in the past. That's my opinion.
Since it wasn't based on usage, was what was left off, do we actually know what they used?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a percentage of whatever you use water-wise, right? Isn't that how
Right.
that's figured?
It's based on, it's non-metered.
Thousand.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Thousands of
it's, right.
So,
So what do we do for the possible, the action is we ask that you ask for the money to recoup
Yes.
the deficient billing? Okay.
Yes, you'll direct the city manager to contact through a letter the companies that were involved and ask that they make restitution for the deficient billing and give me the authority to negotiate a payment.
I
Okay.
can negotiate offer them a payback, or just add a little bit to their bill each month, extra, something like that. So they're not out of pocket for the whole thing at once.
I think that's a good concession, personally.
Now let's talk about my bills.
No, we're done.
Let's
Oh, we're,
So do we
Thank
have that motion? Somebody want to,
Need a motion, right?
you got that motion written
No,
down?
but I mean, I will, but we need somebody to make the motion
So
in a
we're
second.
gonna-
Right.
Do I need to, can I make the motion, or does someone else need to make it, since I'm?
Probably be best for somebody else to make the
I was
motion.
just-
I make a motion that we direct the city manager to recoup the deficient billing and give him the ability to negotiate a payment plan
If needed.
if needed.
All right, so we have a motion.
second.
All right, Jake, can you have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes,
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes,
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer. Yes. Motion passes.
All right. And that's all we have on this agenda, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed last time? All right, moving on to the Seminole City Council meeting. Can we have a roll call for this one, please?
Corey Crabtree,
Here.
Tim Poplin, Larry Church,
here.
Trace Connor, Chris Anson,
Here?
Eddie Foreman,
Here.
Dana Miller,
Here.
John Kramer, Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, if we will all stand for the pledge of allegiance and the prayer, we can start. Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chris.
Father in heaven, thank you for the city of Seminole and all those who call Seminole home. Thank you for those who have come before us to make it what it is today. Open our minds and hearts as we discuss tonight's business so that we may make the best decisions for the city and its citizens. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Sharon, before we start, do we have anybody signed in for this? Okay. All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second. Roll call, please, Jay.
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, we have no approvals or acceptances, we have a presentation to be given from this animal shelter. You guys can come forward, whoever's doing that one.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm briefly going to toot Cameron's own horn here, because I know he won't do it. But I was going to say, since July 1st, when we took over the animal shelter, Cameron and Skyla, who's been here since day one, have put in numerous hours of their own time, their own money, to help get this place up and running. A lot more clean than it was before. They've done, in my opinion, doing an outstanding job. I can't ask for a better crew than we have right now. With that, I'll probably end it short, then the last mayor said he was hungry. I'll keep it much longer.
No, we'll hear as long as it takes.
I'll turn it over to Cameron Thepper, he's our shelter manager.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So it's been a long process here. This is gonna be the before and after, and the goals we got coming. When we first stepped into the facility, it was dismantled pretty bad. As you can see, that's rat nest in the ceiling, all kind of feces on the walls, holes in the wall. Now that's the ceiling currently. It has been totally cleaned from one end to the next. All the lights have been removed and disinfected. As you can see there, those are rat tunnels all through the building. I've collected over 400 mice within the first 11 days of me being at the facility. As you can see, there's holes in the ceiling, which is to your far right, all along the baseboard and walls.
What those cats doing? What you had in there?
Well, we didn't have any when we first started,
I
but we got some now.
Okay, good.
Now, this is the beginning process. We had pest control come in and fill all the voids with steel wool and repaired all the sheetrock, caulked all the seams, and then we started painting. Now, we did power wash several times, every inch of the inside building. Squeegeed it out, done the best we could. Now, as you can see, some of the hallways and everything have started to transfer from the old yellow into the new blue and black, and those are the colors we chose for the shelter. We were concerned about bacteria issues, which is a major thing when we're dealing with animals. Coccidia, parvo, and salmonella had the whole facility. It was killing animals, so it was very inhumane, in my opinion. But now, as you can see, we have done quite a bit of construction, and our goal is to keep it clean and safe for all the animals, and keep it at a high standard, because we're representing not only ourselves, but the city of Seminole. And we want to take pride in that. We don't want to be ranked last, we want to be ranked at the top. These are some of the after shots there, as you can see. No more holes, no more filth. And of course, we are thrilled about all the efforts that my officers have put in. They've been going really hard, not only working the streets, collecting strays, medicating animals, you name it, we've been there. This month in August, we collected over 89 animals, for those that weren't aware of that. And that's been about our average, anywhere from 70 to 80 animals a month. We're holding the citizens accountable, so what I've taught my officers and the code that I go by, I try to educate first. So if I see something that's out of line, I try to educate the citizens, so it's just not a big uproar on all the new ordinances and laws that we're putting in effect, so. Because, you know, we're here to serve the citizens, you know, but at the same time, we gotta hold them accountable. The neighborhoods, now that they see us, a lot of citizens are happy that we're out there and congratulating us on their efforts. We also implicated traps and cages for, I would say, rodents, raccoons, possums, armadillos, you name it, we collected. You notice there's a lot less dead animals on the road because we collect those as well, just to keep the environment clean. And hopefully, when y'all get time, you could swing by and take a visit for yourself. I don't know if y'all been there previously, but we would love for y'all to come by and take a look at the changes. There's still some future changes that we're hoping to implicate within the facility. Our adoption rate has been great as well, because now I'm sure y'all know that we're a kill shelter as well. And we try to save as many animals as we can. Everything is really based upon a temperament test, which I am a dog behavioralist professional. I went to school for that. So I do temperament tests, and a lot of them have to be put down due to parvo and things like that. So our cat population is very high, and they're immune to parvo. And they also transmit it to a lot of dogs, so. And with that being said, I was asked why is certain environments overwhelmed by felines? And my answer was because of the condition the environment's being kept in, whether it's abandonment or overgrowth, which brings mice, which also brings felines and reproduction, which we're trying to implicate spay and neuter program. So we're gonna be getting with a grant writer from the city on that. Hopefully we can find something to help our citizens. One more thing, the local vets here are helping out a lot with price adjustments. So if a citizen of Seminole was to come into the shelter, they could buy a voucher, even if they didn't adopt a dog from us. And it's basically 50% off on the spay or neuter. So that's to help try to get control of the population. Any questions?
How long do you hold an animal before they put down?
We had some since July 1st, and we've had some for 10 days. But 10 days is the minimum. It just really depends on my judgment on if the dog can be rehomed without getting a lawsuit or attacking another animal or biting someone's child. I've advised several people that tethering wasn't good, and then they called me back to come get their animals because it took their kid's finger off. You know, so my judgment, I believe, is critical here, and it's hard because I love animals first and foremost, but also I know I got a job.
Well, personal experience was a lady came to my home seeking help, and she'd been mauled by a dog. Looked like it almost took out her right eye.
I was there.
And were you there? Did you see that? Okay. And as I understand it, she was where she wasn't supposed to be, and I mean, she was in someone's yard. They had their dog on a chain in the yard, and she was attacked there. You were talking about tethering. You said you recommended that they not be tethered.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have any ordinances about vicious dogs being tethered?
Well, if I discover a vicious dog, then it's a license that you have to have. The dog has to be chipped. It has to have a certain enclosure, buried 18 inches in the ground with a roof on it. Photos of the dog, and we have to be notified immediately if the dog gets loose or gets out of its containment. Plus, it's $100,000 insurance policy to own a vicious dog within the city. So, yes, we have all kind of ordinances in place for situations like that.
Well, I don't know if people are aware of that, and, I mean, I had just sort of assumed that, well, shouldn't have been over there fighting with them or whatever, and the dog's on the chain, and, you know, what else can a dog owner do? But you're saying that they're supposed to be in an enclosure.
But at the same time, in that incident, I temperament tested the dog. Stuck my whole hand in his mouth and gave him commands, and he never applied any pressure.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if that was even the right dog or if it was a dog.
Well, I'm not either. All I get is secondhand. But I did see the victim, and It's, I remember it.
Yeah, yes, sir, I remember that day, and the tethering issue, a person can tether a dog for up to 4 hours throughout the day, as long as I don't see it consistently all day, every day. And like I say, I do try to make contact and educate them on the ordinance. I'm just not issuing citations, you know, at first, but if I continue to see it, and that's the way the dog lives, then I have to do what I have to do.
I don't have any recommendations, but just trying to figure out
Yes, sir.
what's going on.
Yes, sir,
Well,
all
thank
our
you.
new ordinances, got put online August 1st.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I appreciate the city of Seminole for giving me this opportunity to come in and try to help make a change.
Go ahead, Dana.
That the before and afters are amazing. Before I couldn't walk in there. I would take donations in and would stop at the door because it just smelled so horrible in there. So I love that you make it not only more accommodating for the animals, to me, which is first and foremost, but for the guests who come in to look to adopt. It's a welcoming space now, and that took a lot of work, so thank you for that. Do you host any adoption events?
October 19th, we will be hosting an adoption event at Tractor Supply.
Okay, October 19th.
Yeah, and y'all are welcome to come out and participate.
Sure. And also too, I mentioned this to Chief yet, or before, but when y'all are ready, I think it'd be a good idea to have an open house
Absolutely.
and invite the public to see the difference, and I think that would help as well. But also too, and I talked to Steve about this previously, if people want to make donations, because previously if they wanted to make a donation to go to the shelter, there was a nonprofit organization to do that. But if I wanted to donate a bag of dog food today, where would I take it and who do I contact?
You contact me.
Okay.
And you bring it to the shelter, or I can come pick it up.
Okay, so we just give you a call and say, hey, I want to make a donation, and you would come get it, or we can drop it off.
Yes, ma'am, as long as it's, not monetary, you know, on that behalf, I'd probably have to take a different direction with that.
Okay,
But as far as feed or cleaning supplies or anything of that nature, yes, ma'am. I
Okay.
can come pick that up, or you can drop it off.
okay.
Did you have something you want to say?
Cameron, can you introduce your staff?
Yes, this is Skylar.
Nice to meet you.
Skylar is amazing. She's a blessing, really. There's no way I could do it without her, to be honest. I've never seen or met anybody with that much integrity and knowledge to be so young. I mean, she's not only a college student, but she's also my best officer. I mean, I hope she don't go nowhere, but like I say, she makes it complete, you know, by far. You know. And thank you so much, Skylar, for everything you do.
There is one question I wanted to bring up. We have a lot of surrenders, so is there any way we could start charging a surrender fee? Because, I mean, we're taking on aggressive dogs and stuff like that, so therefore the city takes the cut of putting the dogs down. Or, you know, we adopt them out, then we take the cut of getting those spayed or neutered and their vaccinations on top of that. So I thought maybe we could bring it up because he didn't bring it up, but
Thank you.
it's just in the air.
That's why you got my back. Right? So,
We can definitely look into that. We can't do anything on it right now.
Right, I just wanted to bring it to the
presentation.
table.
I think we're
Gotcha.
working with Mr. Carter on that at the moment, so.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good deal. I'll just say this from mayor would say the same thing, but being vice mayor, I appreciate the professionalism.
Mhm.
You guys are dressed the same.
Mhm.
The place looks good. You're well presented. That is all a big part of who we should be at Seminole, and we appreciate it. So I've heard many complaints about the shelter being dirty before, and I never went before, but I'll trust your judgment when you say it was like that. But just in general alone, those pictures make a world of difference. And we appreciate it. We really do. We want both you guys to know that, because I don't want to do that job.
Yes, sir.
I'm not that guy, but you guys do it well, so
Yes, sir.
we appreciate it.
Yeah.
$100.
Takes all kind of people to make the world.
It does, and actually, someone gave me your name sometime back when we were starting this process, and I told Steve, I said, someone gave me his name, you need to look into that, and they had already contacted you, I guess, so
Yes, sir.
you obviously were meant for the job, so don't go nowhere.
I'm not, not unless you send me.
All right.
Any other questions or concerns?
Great job, Cameron.
Thank you
Good
guys
job.
for coming.
Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to, we have no appearances or petitions from the audience, so we're going to move on to approvals and acceptances. Under bids and purchasing, item 1, consideration and possible action to approve the purchase of computer software for the animal control shelter from Shelter Pro Software in the amount of $3,500. Wow, $3,530. My goodness, spit that out. Sorry, $3,530. Larry.
So
Making sure
moved.
you got it. All right, we got a second?
Yes, thank you.
All right, can we have a roll call, please, Jake?
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes,
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer. Motion passes.
All right. Moving on to item 2, consideration and possible action to approve the repairs to the softball field fence in the amount of $6,000 from Deep South Fencing.
Move to approve.
second,
Roll call, please, Jay.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
yes,
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer. Motion passes.
All right, moving on to resolutions. Item 3, consideration and possible action to approve City of Seminole Resolution Number 2024-13, a resolution in recognition of Mr. Melvin Moran's numerous accomplishments in appreciation for his service and offering heartfelt congratulations and best wishes for his 94th birthday.
Yeah, move to approve that.
Second.
move approval,
All right, did you get those?
I did.
Okay, roll call.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
yes,
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and under current business, item 4, discussion and possible action regarding the Lloyd Simmons building located at Boiler Park near the golf course. Presentation and proposal by Danny Morgan, Seminole State College Educational Foundation. He's already headed to the podium, so.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you all for your service as a former council member and mayor. Thank you. It's such a thankful job. Thank you for your service. The reason I wanted to be in front of you all this evening is the college has no more use for the old Simmons Heating facility that was located behind Old Park. The foundation has now taken responsibility for that building. What we would propose is that we enter into an agreement with the city of Seminole for a 99-year surface lease for the area in which the facility is located with $1 a year rental towards that, and that would give us an opportunity to sit with the city attorney and begin drafting that type of a contract. The reason we need that kind of contract, if you're interested, is that for someone to come in and make an investment in that building to turn it into a commercial property, we've had several inquiries from people around this community about what are you going to do with it, I'd like to do something with it. We want to take a long look and see what's out there, but before we went down that trail, we wanted to make sure that we could offer a potential investor who wants to come in and put their dollars into that, an opportunity to be a good return on the investment, turn this into a revenue stream, not only for the foundation, but hopefully into a retail type establishment to put sales tax revenues back into the community. It's perfectly suited for a couple of things that have been talked to. You can't disclose yet. I mean, it's nothing grand or what I'd say exciting, but we want to turn it into a property that the community can be proud of, and that we can generate some revenues from the foundation, but also for the city. But the parking lot that sits there, lighting, everything's there for even after hour retail type stuff or athletic possibilities. There's 4 or 5 different proposals that's been sent to us, but we can't move on it until we have some type of an agreement with the city that says, yes, we can show a developer that we've got a long-term agreement established for the use of that surface and can allow that building to continue. Any questions?
I have a question. It's more towards Steve. There you are. Threw me off. Steve, this, the property, do we, you know, if we're being asked to put it into, go directly into a lease, do we not have the ability to put it out for bid to see if anyone else is interested in leasing that as well?
Yes. So what we're talking about, the actual building, everything from the dirt and above is owned by the Seminole State College Educational Foundation. What we would be talking about is leasing the dirt. We could do that. Help me out here. I don't know how it would work, but the problem would be is trying to get any prospect to understand that they're not renting the building, they're actually just leasing dirt. And not, I mean, we've got plenty of other dirt that's not under the building that we could lease in Oyler Park. You know that we've taken down the baseball fields, and there are other tracts around behind the swimming pool and including the swimming pool. So, but the direct answer to your question is yes, we could put it out for proposal.
Basically, we're just giving them rights to lease the land so that you can do something productive with it to form a revenue stream for both sides, maybe for you and for our tax, for the tax revenue. Is that what we're doing?
Well, as I understand the proposal as he stated it, we're actually leasing the land under the building for $1 a year for a long time. So if there's a counter proposal, or if you want me to go find out if there are other interested parties and force the removal of the building, we could investigate that.
I will tell you that in some airport instances, if someone wants to build hangars, privately build those hangars, they will usually get a 99-year lease. Again, to recoup all of the costs of building a $200,000, $300,000 building. And so there's a long-term lease in that effect. We cannot.
And we
find-
do that here in Seminole. We actually lease land and then have private individuals build hangars on private land.
Our situation is that we can't find, according to the school, we can't find where the city and the school may have entered into an agreement for that land. There may be one, we're unable to locate one, so we can't tell anybody that might want to use that property for something, hey, yeah, you're assured that you've got the ability to do something with it. Or somebody comes back later and says, well, I've got a contract that says, no, that's the college's now, you still can't do anything with it. We still want to get into some gray area of he said, she said. I assume that the city attorney, if this should be approved, can give us one where that nullifies any past contracts that might have been out there that does pop up. It says those are no more, they're no more valid. The only one that we think could have ever had a relationship like that would have been the college. The college may have had a lease on that. We just can't find it. If we could, the lease could be transferred from the college to us. We just have not been able to find one out there. It might have been just a handshake agreement that we used to be able to do that back in the days. So that's what we're here for, is just to see if there's a way we can work out an agreement to have a long-term lease on that surface and then use this building for something that can be done. The problem is we need to do something with it soon. The college is vacated, and you all know what a vacant building will do. There's some things that need to be done there, some improvements that need to be made. We just can't really feel like we can do that until we get some time.
Steve, are there any, thank you for that. Steve, are there any plans that the city has for that dirt? Basically, that space? Do we have anything that we would like to put on there? If that building was gone,
Driving range.
Yeah, I've heard driving range quite a bit from Larry. No, not at this time. Certainly, with the building there, it's hard for us to envision anything else other than that building. You'll recall that there was quite a bit of discussion earlier about how do we how do we interact with this building? We don't want certain things, we do want certain things in that building. I still think I have a flavor from the council of what that is. But if we lease the land, then that becomes their prerogative. I can tell you, he can't, but I can, that I've been contacted by several individuals that want to use the building and basically keep it the same venue, batting cages and things, maybe parties for kids to use batting cages and sporting, maybe, I don't know if it's tall enough for basketball, but dodgeball and those sorts of things.
Is there any anticipation in the lease of getting any kind of suggestions on what we don't want it used for? Are you guys gonna put anything in there towards that? I'm just asking, just.
We've not seen a lease. I think this is their first approach to the city council is, hey, this is what we're thinking, what are you thinking? So we're kind of opening it up for
That
your
would be
discussion.
My
and-
concern, what you said, is us giving up, the rights to determine what may go next to our golf course, I mean, we had the baseball field there, and that went along with the baseball field, but to completely give up our rights to say, I mean, their idea of what may go there may not match what ours is next to the golf course, and, that's a pretty big property and investment for the city, having that golf course there, so I'm not quite sure how we can deal with that and make that determination unless we do something like Corey said and, limit it. I don't know if there could be some, I mean, I know they don't want to discuss, who they're in negotiations with, because, for business reasons, that's, I know how that works with SEDC and things like
Right.
that, but, could this be something that we review an agreement? Could that be done in like an executive session or something like that, since it's dealing with real estate?
Yes.
And then, we could make a determination whether we were okay with what type of business was going in there.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you also you can also zone that building area and say, this is a restricted area. And you can't do these things inside.
Right. And there's ordinances on some things like the marijuana facilities, you can't
Right,
be so
yeah,
close,
exactly.
but, I mean, we've got some ordinances that will kind of help some of that, but.
I can feel Sharon.
I can see
She's
her.
back here shivering. So our problem was and still is spot zoning. That's forbidden by the state law. So we would have to somehow run a track to the commercial area to be able to put it in a spot like that. So it'll take a little bit of consideration from staff. But I do think we can have an executive session and you guys can tell me what limitations and I'll carry it back to the
Okay.
educational foundation if possible.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that they would allow something to go there that we wouldn't want anyway. The problem is we are the ones who are accountable to the voters for that. And we need to, make sure we do what we're supposed to do, by them, so.
Yeah. I think you
I
guys
like
can
that.
draft that well enough to put that in the lease to
Well,
some degree.
And that's what I was saying, is we had this previous discussion with the baseball issue is, and I would like to see a more uniform RFP process for any type of lease we do, even if for a nominal $1 for 99 years, or if it's, any type of lease. I think the fair way to do it, and maybe that'll help them be able to disclose to us some information that they can't do publicly in the RFP process, where we can review it in maybe an executive session and then make that determination at that point.
But with an RFP, the only thing that we can put in RFP is the ground itself,
Mm-hmm.
not the building. And so they still have rights to the building because they own the building.
But couldn't we couldn't we ask them how they're going to utilize that building?
Well, we can do that now too, but I don't see an RFP process necessarily going to change anything.
I think what he's saying is that you can't see anybody wanting to attain that property when they don't have a whole lot of decision-making power on what really goes in it, because you only own the land. So I don't know of anybody that would really want that responsibility and want that land just for that mere reason. Because, I mean, even if you charge them somebody bought the land and charged them $250 a month, I don't know if it's really, or if you charge more than that, I don't know if you find a business that would really want to go in there if you just own the land. Because renting the land is, I don't know that anybody's gonna wanna do that. They do that I know of them doing that in states with Sonics, where they didn't sell the land, the Sonic had to rent the land and build the building on it, and it was a ridiculous amount of money, and they didn't survive.
I just think an RFP process is a fair way to go. You're saying there's a lot of unknowns, those variables that we don't know, and that's absolutely true, we don't know. And I don't know, who knows? Maybe somebody wants to lease that land and they're gonna move the building and create something really cool. I don't know, but we won't know until we do that RFP process. I think it's the fair way to go. I think it's the best way for them to disclose a lot of information that maybe they can't in a public setting, and then we can discuss it then.
I will tell you, the foundation would be more than happy to sell that building to anybody. If they want a lease of it, and they want to come to us and say, we'll buy that building from you, we'd be more than happy to liquidate that building tomorrow. But the initial discussions that we've had, we can't find anybody that seems to really be interested in that. One, they're not interested in buying it until we can work some kind of a lease out that says, okay, we're getting the land and the building. So that's where this hiccup, for no better term, I think, I see the city attorney nodding his head over there. There's kind of an odd situation that I don't know that many of us have ever run across before. But we'd love to sell that building. But we do have other property in the community that we do manage, that the foundation owns. This is owned by the foundation, so we thought the cleanest thing to do is just say, if we could get a lease, and in that lease, you could specify you can't do these things with that property,
Right.
then it would be up to us to say, okay, we'll accept the terms of that lease, and then we'd sign that lease to say, okay, if we violate it, then you come back for the lease.
I think putting that in a lease, Dana, may be the equivalent of an RFP. So they're doing all the homework and gathering all the information, bringing it to us, as here's what we think want to go in there.
Again, I just think that's an RFP process, again, if we just get in the practice of doing it, it keeps us accountable, it keeps us being able to say there's a process in place that we don't deviate from, and we don't get in that situation that you had mentioned earlier, that it was just a handshake and a kind of a good old boy deal. I want to get as far away from that process as possible. And so if we can start something that's more formal and we can all fall back on it when we're questioned about it, I'd prefer to go that route, but that's just me.
I would be more okay with that if we owned the building and the land, and that was all of our responsibility. But seeing as how we don't own the building, that's what makes it hard. That's what makes it hard for me, is that we don't own the building. So to have an RFP process on someone just wanting a piece of land, I get what you're saying, you want it to be uniform. I just-
For any lease.
We are where we are, we clean up our mess as we find it and go forward. I think RFP is great, but we're in this situation, so let's figure out a solution and go forward. I think a driving range is the best thing. Of course, but that's just me. Evidently.
Anybody else? Any other discussion?
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we need to, does anybody have a motion? Do we need to take action on this, or do you want?
It's on there for action. You can either take no action, you can make a motion, or you can direct the staff to create a document, a lease, or you've got a lot of different options here.
Well, is this something that we can make a motion to bring up in an executive session next month or the month after? And so I'll make a motion that we discuss this further in executive session in 60 days.
It won't take that long. In fact.
Well, I know, but
If-
within 60 days. I would
Okay.
say.
I would rather us do it at the next council meeting.
Yeah, that'd be 30 days. It'd still be within the 60 days.
We need to do it before it freezes.
There you go.
Are you gonna, do you want to
I'm
draft
making that
of a
motion.
possible lease, or you just want to put it on executive session for discussion?
Executive session for further discussion, make a decision
Okay. All right.
Well, I would, I mean, I'm not gonna second that, because I would like to at least see what the possibilities are with the lease brought before us at that time, if we can, so we could perhaps make a decision at the next meeting.
about it.
If that's what you said.
Yeah. Oh, well, I thought that's what I was hoping.
That's why
I
I was
didn't
asking
understand
if
it
you
that
wanted us
way.
to draft a lease at the same time, so you can discuss the possibilities with the lease and see what the lease actually says.
Well, here's what my intentions were, was that
So what Chris said.
Have
we
lease
need to
for us to
discuss it
consider.
further, and we need to get it cleaned up within 60 days on what all that involves.
I don't think it would hurt to have a lease available too, just in case you want to modify it maybe.
Yeah.
The problem I see is I'm not sure what a lease looks like
Yeah,
on something
we
like
don't-
this.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if we lease that property the way it sits, just for the land, then you're, as Chris says, you're gonna have some problems because you're gonna lose control if you have any restrictions. I think, just in my opinion, you're probably gonna have the Educational Foundation, solicit a prospective tenant and say, hey, this is what we'd like to do. Would the city work a lease with them so that we can do something with this building? Because I don't know, just looking at this thing, with us not owning the actual structure, the improvements to it, do we even have the authority? There's going to be some provisions in there that, are going to want to restrict that facility. And when you do that, if you lease it that way, we're going to have some issues with zoning and other things. So I just think we need to get our arms around this and staff it. Executive session would probably be a good way to start this process, to get some relief to them and figure out a way forward.
Well, and I guess that would be the other issue too, is if the 99-year lease for the property, is that with the intention of them selling it with the lease? Because I wouldn't want the lease to pass to another owner.
I don't think, you could put that in the lease.
Well, you can assign a lease, but I think we're going to have issues with selling property because that's in our charter. If this property is $50,000 or more in value, it's got to go to a vote. Unless there's an ordinance, we have to publish the ordinance. If anybody objects, then we're back, we have to go other directions. So, that's a whole different.
Well, and again,
Path.
we're not talking about a piece of land that's out somewhere by itself. We're talking about something that ultimately sits in the middle of
your
our
park.
park system and in the middle of our golf course.
Mhm.
Right.
So again, if the entire thing were to be sold and we lose control after that, who knows what could go there?
Yeah, I don't
And
think that's
so-
going to be
I don't think
a
you can sell the
possibility
lease to
without
someone
a lot of input
So
from the council or something in
So-
place.
else. So how
And
about
maybe
we-
the voters.
How about we do an executive session on the next meeting? And you
Right.
decide what we can and can't do. And at that point, we can kind of make a decision.
Get our arms around it,
Yep.
see what the problems are and troubleshoot it.
I guess I have one more. Mr. Morgan, I appreciate the information, and I'm glad that you're looking at utilizing that space, because I don't like it just sitting there empty. There's something that can be done. I don't know what it is. I have no idea, but I'm glad you're looking into it. Or can I ask him a question?
Yes,
Okay.
it's under discussion.
It's still under discussion, okay. Has the foundation looked into the possibility of you leasing the land to the city? And that way we have, or at least giving the building to the city, and that way we have, because I feel like it's a weird situation. You guys have the building, we have the land, and we're trying to figure out a way to make it whole, but it's us, I feel like us, when I say us, I say the city, basically giving up control of the land that's in the middle of our park system, and you would be giving up a building that you rightfully own. So somebody's given up something. Have you all discussed?
We would love to lease that to you guys for 99 years.
Mhm.
You take on all the utilities, you take us the rent, you pay us rental on it. whoever gets in there pays rental to us. You take care of the utilities, the insurance, all, we'd love to have that, all we do is just pick a check out. But yes, we as the foundation.
We would
be in
like
a
that too,
position
then.
to say, if you all want to lease that building back from us, we're all for it, depending on the pricing.
Is this a lease-to-own option? I'm just kidding.
And the city could do the same, right? Can we rent that land?
That's certainly an alternative, yes. I mean, we could do that, but we have to see what that looks like, just to make sure that we're in the.
Could someone from the foundation come and talk to us in an executive session? Is there anything prohibiting that?
No, not on that one, but you've got the appraisal of real estate, and you've got two separate.
I just meant if they would feel more comfortable revealing their plans and who might be willing to do that under executive session.
Let me look at that and see. I'm not sure about that. I need to look at that. I don't think we've ever had that happen. There's restrictions on that, outside of the public body participating in that. So I'm gonna probably say no,
Okay.
but I'll look.
Just to clarify, this isn't new. We've been struggling with this for quite some time. And you made an offer in barter situation type things. I don't think the Educational Foundation ever formally rejected that I recall. So there are a lot of discussions that are going on outside. I think this was just, hey, we need to clear the slate, and this may be the best option from their perspective.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I just, again, I think I feel as a responsibility to maximize any opportunity to bring more revenue into the city to support our constituents. So when I hear that the city we could easily pay rent for the building, I don't know, I think conversely, foundation could easily pay rent for the land. So I feel like there's a lot more discussion that needs to happen. But I do agree, we need to get it resolved and get it off our plate and get that area developed. Either way.
Is there an adverse possession question here at all?
Can't take adverse possession against a public entity, a political subdivision.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Okay, so we need an action item. Do we just want to? Make that
Just-
motion, just
Bring us some options for the next council meeting. I mean, are you good with that, Larry?
Yeah, executive session, next council meeting.
Yeah.
We'll discuss this and find out what we can and can't do, or are willing to do.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Second. Chris has got the second, so let's roll call. What's that?
Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman. Yes. Dana Miller.
Yes.
Don Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Moving on to remarks and inquiries. I'll get mine, Mr. Larry Church. Give me remarks.
I just want to thank everyone for what they're doing with the animal control shelter. And, it's always appropriate to say that our staff is excellent and doing well, and doing a great job for us. There's no question about that. A friend told me they were watching a city council meeting on TV the other day, not ours, but wanted to know, said, do y'all fuss and argue like that? I want to come to the meeting. So we don't. We seem to get along really well, even with different opinions. And thank y'all for that. That's all I have.
All right, Dana?
I'd like to welcome everyone to Ward 1. I don't have any constituent issues. I'm not sure why. I haven't had anyone reach out to me, so I just want to remind if anyone who's watching or listening to be sure to reach out to us anytime you have issues. That's what we're here for. But I haven't heard from anyone this past month, so so just a reminder, reach out to us. That's our job. Seminole Nation Days, just as a reminder, is September 20th through the 22nd out at the Miccosukee Mission, which is just right outside Ward 1. I know everyone is welcome to attend. As you all may be aware, the city of Seminole is right in the middle of the heart of Seminole Nation jurisdiction. So we're kind of all in this together. So everybody come out and celebrate, and I know that everyone will be welcome. So thank you.
All right, John Kramer?
No, just Cameron and them, you're doing a great job. It's really good. Appreciate it.
Eddie?
Yep, appreciate the new employees and, no, I really do. Been nice to get it cleaned up and off so many complaints. I would also like to think that the resolution we passed for Melvin Moran, that there's not much we can't say about Melvin and he and Jasmine, the work they've done in the city, and they ought to be praised for that continually. I mean, I know we've had a lot of great people that's represented Seminole, but Melvin has gone above and beyond. And I was fortunate to have grown up in a small town that had two benefactors like Melvin, and it makes a big difference to the community.
All right, Chris? I'm good. Chris is good. I'll say thank you to Cameron as well, I already have, but the place looks great. Just keep it up. Danny, thanks for coming tonight. I think we all want to get in some kind of an agreement with this and kind of get it taken care of, so we appreciate you coming. Lastly, I had a theft at a property on one of the houses that we're working on, unfortunately. I will say this, when I called to report that theft, I was pretty impressed at the fact that this person, this officer, asked me where I was, and I was at Walmart because I was trying to buy the stuff that got stolen again. The guy actually took it upon himself to meet me there in the parking lot. He said, I will come to you and get whatever you need and get the report taken care of, because apparently you can't go to the pawn shops without a report to look for your stuff. So that's pretty impressive that he actually made it a point to meet me at Walmart, take my report. I was busy, he was trying to help me out. He offered to come wherever I was, so that was pretty, tell him thank you. He was a new officer, and I can't even remember his last name, to be honest with you. He worked here before and came back, but Abyss, maybe? Is that his name, his last name? Okay. Yeah, so tell him thank you, but I appreciate that. But that's all I have. Steve? Anything?
Yeah, so Seminole has a long history of producing exceptional people. We've had governors, senators, you name it. But I've never actually been really close to any of them until now. Tomorrow, in the Supreme Court at the state capitol, our very own Brad Carter will be pinned as a brigadier general. And I'd like for you to join me and give him a round of applause. That's a big deal, a really big deal. Just want to let you know, Sharon, let's go ahead and cue up the Family Entertainment Center. This is our new Gantt chart. This kind of lines out the timing, and this is hot off the presses. We're doing our very best to get the design confirmation. You guys gave good input last month in terms of wanting a party room, et cetera. We've gone back. We're actually going to be reducing some of the square footage. They had, I don't remember exactly, but it was like 400 seats or something to that effect. And 114 of those were in a restaurant. So we've reduced quite a bit, trying to make sure that when we put this out, that we're going to get it under bid or under our budget. So if you want this, I can send this email and you guys can have it in your hip pocket, because if you're like me, it doesn't matter if I'm in Walmart or at a restaurant. People want to know, where's the entertainment center? And it's a whole lot of work. I can't imagine, it's hard to imagine all the details that are going into this. We've had a lot of visits that we've taken, looking at Andy B's and others, looking at other facilities, trying to decide whether or not we're going to have string pins for our bowling alleys or the conventional, the older version of the bowling alleys. A lot of opinions, especially from the operators on what's best, but we're just trying to get something that our citizens are going to be proud of, and that's where we're at. Any questions about that before I leave?
Can we get a sign and put up out where it's gonna be? Future home of?
We can do that. We can certainly do that. Airport progress, if you've been by out there lately, you've seen that we've made a big cut into the Enviro Systems parking lot with the taxiway extension. Right now, it's uncomfortable. Everybody's on top of each other, and I'm sure that employees are not enjoying parking on the gravel parking lot, but we're moving as fast as we possibly can while dealing with two separate federal agencies. So it's doable, but it's sometimes challenging. We're getting more and more building plans submitted for housing. We are in the middle of a boom. I told the Seminole State College folks, I got to visit with them the other day, the in-service, and we're in the golden age. I mean, this is truly, we've never been in this spot before, where we're busting at the seams, we're growing with housing and jobs, and so we're in fantastic shape. I know Sharon doesn't get all the thanks that she needs or she deserves, but to have this much going on with the small staff that we have, it's a monumental task, and they do a fantastic job as well. And you already covered Seminole Nation Days. Special thanks. I want to make sure, Danny, as you walk out of here, I want you to know how much we appreciate what the Educational Foundation does for us. The tournaments that are being held out there, I know you guys invested $9 million, and we're the beneficiaries of that. And I don't want you to walk out of here and not carry that message back, that we are appreciative, absolutely. So thank you. Yeah, and it's almost every weekend, so. That's all I have, thank you.
All right, Brad? You'll speak tomorrow, right?
It's actually Thursday, but I'm gonna shave my non-regulation beard, so.
All right, take care of that before then. Don't give us a bad name. All right, if we have no other business, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?